5 years ago, my parents asked me what I wanted for Christmas. I was at a point in my life where I was moving into a new apartment and needed to get some of my own kitchen stuff. That year for Christmas, one of the things that I got was a knife set. And not a nice one. I'm talking one of those 12 pieces, comes in a wooden block, half of them are the exact same type of knife set. And now, here I am, half a decade later, still using 3 of them. Much like measuring cups, spatulas, and pans, knives are an essential tool in the kitchen. And because of that, I've always felt this urge in the back of my head to purchase a higher quality set. But along with that urge, I've also got this doubt. What if I buy the wrong kind? What brands are worth the money? What if I don't spend enough money and they go bad in a few years? What if I spend a ton of money, but I don't know how to take care of them? And so, I've always stuck with my 3 crappy, but passable knives. And then my perspective changed about 2 years ago. I was living with a roommate who was a woodworker and a blacksmith. He offered to sharpen my knives for me, and not thinking too much about it, I just said sure. And when I used them for the first time after that, I was blown away. I've always hated dicing raw chicken. It's messy, the chicken moves a lot while I'm trying to slice through it, and cleaning my plastic cutting board has always been annoying. But at that moment, when I was using this newly sharpened knife, I realized most of this was because I was working with dull knives. The first slice I took through that chicken felt like cutting butter. No excessive pressure to stop the chicken from moving, and no bits smeared into the grit of the cutting board. It was like working with brand new knives, and it was amazing. But that was 2 years ago, and my knives are starting to feel dull again. I don't live with that roommate anymore, but I could easily go to his place, spend the day hanging out, and leave with some sharpened knives. But I decided that I should make myself useful. So I did a little bit of research, I bought a whetstone, and taught myself how to sharpen my own knives. Okay, so I'm gonna try and learn how to sharpen my knives. I've got my 2 knives here. This is my large kitchen knife, and I've got this smaller one. Here I have a Sharpen whetstone. I got this on Amazon. I think it was maybe around $41, $42, something like that. This is a 1000 grit. This is kind of the go-to, like what everyone recommends for a beginner, or if you only have one whetstone. I've never used it before, as you can tell, and so I'm just gonna go ahead and start. So the first thing I saw is that you should practice the amount of pressure that you are pushing down with a kitchen scale. You wanna shoot for about the 4-pound to 6-pound range. So you guys aren't gonna be able to see this, but I'm gonna turn it on, switch it over to pounds, and try and practice that pressure and see about what that feels like. So I'm holding steady here at about 4.5-ish pounds. Let me try and apply that much pressure and check. Yeah, okay, so I've got that down. Get that out of the way. So that's a really good tip, because the pressure that you use is important to make sure that you're actually getting the knife sharp. And then the second tip for beginners that I saw, in order to make sure that you're getting the right angle on your blade, so you see this, hopefully you see that little bit of different shimmer there. That is where you will be sharpening. So what you'll want to do is you want to take a Sharpie and just draw along the blade right there. I got that done, as you can see. Got it on this side as well as here on the other side. And the purpose of this is to, when you're sharpening, you're going to flip and check and look to see where you are actually shaving off some of the metal. So it's just a way for you to make sure that you're getting the right angle when you're working at it. And then lastly, keeping the right angle is very, very important. So what I've seen people recommend is you try and get the angle and then you move kind of your entire body with it. For most whetstones, you need to soak them in water before use. But this whetstone is a splash and go, which means I can spritz a little water on and get to work. I quickly realized that I was underestimating how difficult this would be. I thought I could just copy the movement that I was seeing in videos and everything would work out. But the first complication I ran into was the size of the knife. So, actually getting a good angle, but I'm not getting up here. So maybe I need to keep the stone straight so that as I curve, I get more, because I was only getting really this middle section of the knife. I tried adjusting where I was placing my hand on the knife, and I eventually started focusing on small sections of the knife, mainly the tip and down close to the handle. At this time, I was really focusing on checking my work against the Sharpie, but this was distracting me from the fact that my technique was quickly falling apart. Unless I was really good at holding a consistent angle, I should not have been working on small sections at a time. I also started to get frustrated with the knife feeling like it wasn't sharpening. I started trying a bunch of different angles and applying more pressure than I should have. I was at this for about an hour, and after my camera died, I decided to throw in the towel for the day. Now, to be fair, my knife did feel sharper than when I started, but I still did a pretty bad job. But a week later, I came back and gave it another shot. I am back to attempt to sharpen more knives. I still have this knife. I've used it a couple times. It feels a little sharper. I don't think it's really sharpened that well, so I do need to put more work into this. But today, I thought it'd be better if we worked on this knife because it's smaller. I'll be able to kind of get across the whole whetstone a bit easier instead of trying to work my whole way across this knife. Some things that I want to work on this time for this session is that I need to really slow down, take my time with it, really make sure I'm working at the right angle, make sure that I'm working my way all the way across the knife. I don't feel like I was getting frustrated last time, but I do feel like in my actions, it was like I was losing patience and getting frustrated, and I was just like going at it really hard and just wanting it to like just be done and for the knife to just be sharp. First, last time, I didn't really have a way to test it besides the paper test. And the paper test, while it does show how sharp your knife is, it's really only gonna work if your knife is like really, really good. So this time, I have this pepper, and I have an extra pepper over here. And I'm going to first cut up this pepper, and then after I'm done sharpening it, I'm gonna cut up the other one and see if I notice any difference. So I cut them into little strips. The knife performed okay. Took some pressure sometimes to get through the skin. So I don't know, we'll see if maybe when I sharpen this, if it's a little easier to get through. And another test that you can do is a fingernail test. So what you'll do is you'll kind of go across your fingernail and go outward. If your knife just like glides across your fingernail, then it's dull. But if it catches, I mean, you can see it's getting a bit of my fingernail off right there. That means that it's got some sharpness to it. So this one's catching a bit. It's not completely dull, but I do want to sharpen it and see if I can make it a little better. Taking things slower this time and focusing on technique really helped. Without even thinking about it, I switched from pushing and pulling the knife to only pushing it away while sharpening. I don't know if this switch mattered as much as slowing down, but I strangely found this way of doing it helped me stay consistent, despite having to lift my knife for every stroke. When sharpening a knife, the first step in the process is trying to make a burr. A burr is a raised edge that forms on the edge of the knife. This is a good sign because while sharpening down one side, the edge starts to weaken and fold over because you're shaving away the metal. Once you feel the burr, you flip the knife over and start working down the other side. And this is what makes your new sharp edge. You may develop a second burr, which will need to be worked down. The two techniques I saw to achieve this are stropping, which I don't really know much about, but it kind of looks like sharpening on a leather strop, and only pushing the knife forward, like I am. I believe stropping is better than what I'm doing, but I wanted to keep the setup cheap and simple, so I'm finishing the edge on a whetstone. And that's the basics of knife sharpening. It sounds easy, and it isn't too hard to get results, but it takes a lot of practice to get good and consistent. Let's see how my newly sharpened knife performs on the pepper. All right, let's see how this goes. I do think that is sharper. There's still room to grow. I could still get better, but for now, I don't think that's too bad. It's definitely getting caught on the fingernails. Yeah, there may be some spots that are a little more dull, some spots that are a little sharper, but I do think this was a success. Really slowing down, putting a lot more purpose into each stroke, being a lot more patient with it, being a lot more willing to just like not feel like I'm making progress and just keep working at it and trusting the process instead of getting frustrated that after, 10, 15 strokes, it's not really showing me a burr or not really feeling like it's any sharper. After my success with the smaller knife, I did another round on the larger chef's knife, and that one turned out better as well. And after using both of them for a few weeks, I can confirm that they're cutting better too. I'm gonna touch up my knives about once a month in order to give myself some more practice, but once you get really good at sharpening them, they should only need it about twice a year. If you feel like you've been fighting your knives, then I hope this inspires you to learn how to sharpen them too. I feel a lot better about having to dice raw chicken or slice up vegetables, and I also look forward to a future where I can sharpen my friends' knives as a gift, just like my roommate did for me all those years ago. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.